Hi there, this is Lee from Mommyish, and today I'm going to give a little tutorial on how to create your own journal cards and how to give them a little more depth and dimension through texture. Um, First off, I just have opened a journal card template that I had made recently. These are for commercial use or personal use, whatever you want to do with them. Um, and right now it's I would say like flat color, meaning it's just like flood filled in, it's purely one color, there's no texture added to it. So the question then being, well, how the heck do you add the texture to it? uh, well what I like to do first is I always make sure that I have all my elements, the colors that I'd like them to be, and then I just flatten it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now and flatten this in, or merge visible, not flatten the image, but merge visible, so everything's all together like that. Then I go and I look through my textures, and I have a lot of them. I'm going to look at some that I had released back in April. You see here, these textures, let me make my thumbnails larger. As you can see here, these are like cardboard textures. I have them in their original color and then grayscaled down. The reason why designers, commercial use designers, why we tend to do a grayscale, we tend to do it toward a mid-tone gray. This allows you to easily choose overlay whenever you're playing with your layer options to add a little texture, but I'll show you that here in a moment. So we're going to use one that has a heavier texture just so you can see it better. All right, so I'm going to choose this one. What I do is I just copy and paste. So I do a Control A for copy and a Control C for or Control A for all, yeah, and then Control C for copy and Control V for paste. Bam! All right. So as you see here, over my layer, I have this huge texture. I'm going to scale it down because I want it to be a little smaller. I make sure that my texture, that the proportions are equal by locking the aspect ratio. And then I'm just going to play with the size. This is 50%. And I think I like that. I like 50%. And I'm going to kind of take more this part here. I just move it around until I have it where I want it. And now my computer's like, I cannot work and record at the same time. There we go. Okay, so now I've covered up. If I just show that layer, show. I don't even think that's like a word. Okay, I make you not see it anymore. You can see I still have my card artwork, and now I have a texture over it. Well, now what do we do? Well, we play with our layer blending modes. So the most common mode I would say most people like to use, especially if it's already a gray toned like this, mid gray, is overlay. This works better if you have a mid to darker color background. So if I show you the blue from this, or the teal, you can see there, you can see that much better than you can see on this light. Um, Another option that some like to use maybe is a hard light. As you can see there, you can see that. Um, I like to just play around, so sometimes I'll duplicate my layer, my overlay. So that's too hard light, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to do a color burn. I'm going to move it underneath and then just kind of play around and lower the hard light a little bit. And I like how this kind of gives it more of a vintagey feel, but you can see that I definitely can see my texture now. Whereas before with overlay, I really couldn't. Let's see if I do an overlay and then, ooh, that's nice too. An overlay and a hard light texture, as you can see. So that's how we add like depth and dimension. When you're creating your own journal cards, I would suggest you know your sizes are typically a 3x4, 4x6. Sometimes you have the squares 4x4 or 2x2s. Is that once you've done it and if you're wanting to print them out for yourself, I like to create a new document and I make it the size of a regular sheet of paper, which is 8.5 by 11. I always fill in the background with white because I just do. I just do. And then I would just merge the layers together. And let's say I wanted several of this card, I would just paste it there and, you know, arrange them. And then when I was done, I would just print them off and cut them out. And I would have 3 brand new journal cards that I could use in my project life, scrapbooks and albums and stuff. So very fun. But yeah, whenever you're starting your new document, always, especially if you're going to print, make sure that you choose your correct ratio. So if it's going to be 6 by 4, you have your 300 pixels per inch. Okay. And just start, don't be afraid to play around with color and just kind of start where you want to start and say, all right, I think I like this color and I might want to use a pattern that I saw somewhere and whatever. Just have fun with it. You can't, that's the great thing about digital scrapbooking is you really, you can make mistakes, but you can always go back in your history to fix them. So, anyway, I hope this has been a helpful tutorial. Don't be afraid to play with your settings. Don't be afraid to try different blending modes. Don't be afraid to layer several textures. I love doing that. And just have fun with it. Oh, I did want to show you one other thing. If you're not a designer, um, and you're not trying to sell what you're going to be doing, and let's say you're just doing this for yourself, I'm going to show you how to create your own textures to reuse several times. So I'm going to just open up one of my own kits uh, and show you how you would do that. La, la, la. I'm like, you have all this stuff. All right. As you see, I have a kit here. This is lemonade stand, and I have papers. All right, several papers. Um, let's say I like the texture and look of this wooden paper. Now, let's say you wanted to use this texture on a journal card of your own as an overlay, but couldn't quite figure out how to get that to work well. Um, what I would do if I were you, that's totally allowed. Again, if you're not reselling, because you're not allowed to resell another person's work, but you know, for yourself, it's cool. Um, is go to your adjustments. I like to go to black and white like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer above this. I'm going to choose my mid-tone gray. That is 808080, so 80880. All right, and that's my mid-tone gray. Then what I do is I take my paintbrush and I just kind of scribble it. It doesn't really matter what this part looks like. I then go back to my black and white. I remember that I look at my color that I have here and I'm like, okay, well, this is obviously a red and yellow tone. So I know those are the hues in our black and white little palette here that we're going to play with. As I turn it down, I'm trying to get my colors to more closely match and mingle with the layer above to create my own texture. I'm pretty happy. And I do want the darker part to be darker. So, however, if you didn't, there are ways to edit that. So maybe I should show you that as well. But first, you can see. So I went from having this paper to now having this, which I could then say merge together and save it as a whole brand new texture. Okay, make sure you don't save over your original file. Name it something else. Um, Also, if you wanted to change some of the dark areas, I would suggest playing with your curves. Playing with your curves. I'm so stupid. I'm sorry. Anyway, I like to you think of it this arch. It's showing you where all the hues are at. You can see there's not a lot in the dark area, but there is some. So we're going to lift from the dark area. See how that's making what was really very dark more subtle with the rest of it. And then just kind of mess around until you have it the way you want it. So that's another trick. Play with your curves and play with the black and white filter. You could also, if you wanted to increase contrast, I like playing with levels. You can make the white areas very distinct. You can make the dark areas very dark. But yeah, there's lots and lots that you could do. So just showing you, if I let's pretend I saved this. I'm copying my new texture. I'm going to just overlay this on. I'm going to make a quick pattern, if you guys don't mind. All right, there. Just a simple card. Here, we're going to be like tutorial. And a lighter color, just for the heck of it, you know. I want you to be able to see kind of what happens here. I hate whenever little boxes open and they're not supposed to because my computer's lagging. See, look what it does. Do you see it acting crazy, or do I only see it acting crazy and you're just like, no, you're the crazy one here, Leah. Nobody else is crazy but you. All right, so there we have it. I have a tutorial journal card. Now I have this texture. I'm copying it, Control C, going to the top, pasting it, choosing overlay this time, and awesome. You can see now that I have a brand new wood texture over my little journal card. I definitely wouldn't be selling this one to you guys, but you know, you see what I mean. Anyway, now that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and again, don't be afraid to play around. Have a great day. Bye bye.